What's up? What's up? What's up? It's the Bad Wolf Hour. Well, probably not a whole hour. This is going to be part two of people asking me to make some videos. The next request comes from New Jersey. All right, so we're going to take a look at Jersey and see what they got going on. So once again, take me back to my search thingy, artificial intelligence y kind of stuff page. All right. Now I want you to do the same thing for the state of New Jersey. Spell it right. Jersey. Yeah, I think I got it right. Hmm. Okay. New Jersey. New Jersey State something. Administration or something like that. N.J.S.A. 39 colon 3 dash 4 registration of automobiles. Kind of funny that they use that term. Usually it's motor vehicle, but actually they could be. Hold on, hold on. They could be doing it right. Let's think about this. In fact, New Jersey, by calling it an automobile, which legally means they have no jurisdiction over it, and exempt non-residents, I mean they're calling it correct. Most of the states have in their terminology in this section, and this is the only section that they should be calling it an automobile. Because if they don't own it or control it, it's an automobile. How does that work? Well, by definition, whoever owns the thing or whoever can control the thing that's being registered or recited to them can give it a name. Only the owner of something can give it a name. If you don't own my car and it's not registered to you, you cannot call it a motor vehicle. It is, in fact, an automobile or a private conveyance. This is what it is by law. I can't just show up at your house and say, oh, we're going to call this New Jamesica. Like, bro, I own this. You can't rename my house. Like, it'd be like if I went to a cop's house at 2 o'clock in the morning, banging on his door. It just so you know, this is me banging, not bang. Anyway, um, he runs down. He's in his drawers. He's got his thing. He's like, what's going on? Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you banging on the house? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you not in public capacity right now? No, I'm not in public capacity. This is my private house. Oh, so you're in private capacity right now. Interesting. Carry on. So I'm going to name your this place here that you happen to be in temporarily, shoe little thing. I'm going to name it Jamesica, and I'm going to need you guys to get out. Your wife can stay, but you guys got to get out and take the kids with. I'm gonna need you to leave before I arrest you for bothering me and disturbing the peace. So, what did we learn just then? You can't name stuff that belongs to other people, and you are in private capacity when you're not in public capacity. So, if a cop can do it, we can do it too. So, there, we've just established something. Kind of makes sense when you hear it, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, me. Okay. So by New Jersey, call in this section, and I haven't checked the rest of their sections. I don't really want to check New Jersey section, but if the rest of it refers to it as an automobile, then they would be incorrect by law. The rest of their terminology should follow under motor vehicle. Automobile means a private conveyance, not subject. So, as far as we know, we're going to give New Jersey one cool point. Mind you, I haven't given any of the other states any cool points. So we're going to say New Jersey's got one cool point because so far, and I could be wrong. Let's go back. I may have to take it away. Let's go back and read through the whole section. Let's take a look. Take a look. Registration of automobiles and motorcycles, non-residents. Once again, they kind of changed it up a little bit. Okay. So it says, except as hereinafter provided. Okay. So that means everywhere else, it might be something different within the codes. But in this section, here's what we got. It says, every resident of this state, capitalized S here. So should this be capitalized? We just did a video on state, state, and state. So here with a capitalized S, they should be referring to the Republic of New Jersey, not the state of New Jersey. So technically, this would be correct. Otherwise, this should be capitalized if they're talking about the state of all caps for that state. But once again, they're using automobile. So they're saying here in this little paragraph, they're saying things beyond this point are going to be a little bit different. Other places, it's going to mean something different. So here they are talking about the organic, the Republic. They are talking about automobiles. So they're saying every resident of this state and every non-resident whose automobile or motorcycle shall be driven, careful with the words, let's see here, in this state shall, before using the vehicle on public highways, register the same, and an automobile or motorcycle shall not be driven unless so registered. So their legal department really needs to clean this up. Okay. I could have a field day challenging all of this. But here's the thing right here. Driven, this means commerce, commercial. So you're saying this is the modifier for all of this. They're saying if you're a resident or even if you're a non-resident and you're driven, that's a commercial term, shall register. Okay, they can say that, but first of all, this should be all capitalized for state. Or you could also go with lowercase lettering here, not upper and lower. So Jersey, I'm taking back your cool point. Let's move on. The statute goes on to authorize the director, the chief administrator, to issue registration certificates and set forms and fees. This is a broad drivers, so commercial, using motor vehicles. See here we go again. But remember, they said automobiles. This should say motor vehicles. But how they get away with this is by including the word driven. So that then modifies and taints all the rest of this. So this is trying to trick you. Okay, so let's go on. This is a broad drivers using motor vehicles must register. This is correct. Motor vehicles are theirs. Automobiles are not required, but they're saying if you're a non-resident who's not required, but you are driving, meaning you're doing something commercial, then you need to be registered. Requirement that applies to both residents and non-residents. So really, they don't have any jurisdiction over non-residents. But they're saying, okay, we don't have jurisdiction over you as a non-resident, but if you are using your vehicle for commercial purposes, which is what the word drive or driven means, look it up in Black Law's dictionary, then you don't get the exemption. So let's see what they say. It's temporary registration for non-residents. Any non-resident purchasing an automobile from a licensed dealer in New Jersey, which is to be principally garage registered and titled in another federal district, Canada, may register the automobile in New Jersey on a temporary basis. Okay, cool, great. It's not what I really wanted. Reciprocal driver license, new resident vehicle registration requirement. Okay, that's totally all theirs. So that's register vehicle, motor vehicle, resident of the state. Okay, we'll see what else they got. Non-resident temporary registration. Well, if we're going to register it, that is also not what we're looking for. So I'm not even going to read that one. Um, Touring privileges for non-residents. The touring privilege, i.e., rights granted to non-residents, are extended to non-resident chauffeurs or drivers who comply with the licensing laws of their jurisdiction. So here's how short they give you your right that are granted. So you as a non-resident, either personally, your affidavit says you're non-resident, or your territory, state, entity, government, trust, irrevocable, which are all non-residents. They have not been registered to the state. And here they call it the touring privilege. So once again, they try to hide it. So I'm actually going to take some credit back from New York or New Jersey for being extra dickish. So you actually owe some points, New Jersey. So it says the touring privileges. Okay, so that's what they call it here for your right to travel, i.e., rights granted to non-residents, are extended to non-resident chauffeurs. That's it. This is it. This is your for New Jersey. This is your out right here. This is your privilege, or not even say privilege. We're gonna say this is your rights, your freedoms, and your liberty right here. This is how they hide it. This is how it is depicted legally to try to obfuscate your right. But then it says or so okay, so there's something additional that may apply, but you've already applied and fixed this. You're good. You don't have to move any further. You don't have to prove the rest of it. You're not party to the rest of it. It's just saying, or we've got something else. Do you want it in your mouth or do you want it on your chest? Talking about being punched, people. Being punched. Do you want it in your mouth or chest? Okay. So you can pick one. Or it says drivers, so commercial, who comply with licensing laws of their home jurisdiction. So if you have licensing laws from your own home jurisdiction, but once again, drivers mean commercial, but you're complying with the laws of your home jurisdiction. So one could also, you don't need to argue you are a driver from your own private jurisdiction. But they would say, well, but you can't really call yourself a driver because that's our word for commercial. We own that word. So they what they really mean here is from another adjoining state, corporate states, state of this, state of that. If you comply with your home jurisdiction's licensing, you can come here and you are essentially exempt. It's extended that you're exempt while you're here doing business. Okay. It says also the statute notes no such non-resident shall operate. Here we go. Pay attention to the words. A motor vehicle. This is commerce. Registered. Now you're also saying not only is it commerce, but it's registered to them. It's been registered, or the reg is theirs. You've given them ownership over it under the laws of this state. Once again, should not be capitalized S because they're talking about the corporate state, not the organic, unless he is 17 years of age or over. But once again, what are they really saying is that if you're under 17, you're not age of majority and you shouldn't be operating. But it says no such non-resident. They don't have jurisdiction over non-residents. But what are they saying? So no such non-resident shall operate. Operate is a commercial term. You need a license for that. Motor vehicle, a vehicle that is subject to commercial public regulation, registered. It has been given to us. So they're saying if you're a non-resident and you have a license or you want one, or you're trying to get one, you've got a vehicle that should be ours, and you've registered it. Okay, so the vehicle itself has been registered, and you're trying to have a license, or you should be licensed to use that vehicle. This sentence right here really should only be phrased for people using like vehicles that are 10,000 pounds, commercial buses, trains, dump trucks, things of that nature. So they're really legally saying if you have not come over to us as our property, you should not be using the vehicles this way under the laws of this state. If you're 17, that's what they're really saying. Okay. Interpretation. A non-resident whose vehicle is driven in New Jersey must register that vehicle unless exempt before using it on there. So they're also telling you in this code here, once again, the key word is driven, unless it's exempt. Are you exempt? You're going to have to make your call. Yes, I'm exempt under this code right here. When a person becomes a resident of New Jersey, once again, let's break this down. Reside, ent, resided and entered. Or they they resed your identity. And if it's of New Jersey, okay, so we really know they're talking about state of New Jersey, then you're not getting the real Jersey. Because it really should say, if they're going to do it the proper way, if we're talking about the organic, it'd be New Jersey citizen or New Jersey state citizen. So we're not talking about the private part, we're talking about the commercial part that they can govern. So it's of the state of New Jersey. So state of New Jersey. So if it's state of New Jersey, you are resident or a member of the state of New Jersey. So in the word resident is essentially the same or synonymous with the word state here. So state of New Jersey, resident of New Jersey. And if it's of New Jersey, the word of means not the real thing. So a state of New Jersey is not the real thing. Otherwise, it would be called New Jersey state. You put the word state from the back of it to the front, it becomes a different thing. So it's a state of New Jersey. If I'm an honorary member of the Lovett family, honorary member of the Lovett family, then I'm not actually a real Lovett now, am I? I'm pseudo Lovett. You have to watch out for the modifiers. They have 60 days to register or register any vehicles, broad range. They operate. Oh, that's a commercial term. You need a license for that. That's a modifier. Now we're going into something. We're not public. We're going into their private jurisdiction that's so big it's called the public. So we're going into their state. And then we're going into their code. We're being codified. We're going into their coded system. So here's where they give you your liberties, rights, and freedoms, but it's downplayed. The touring privileges statute, blah, 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 grants non-residents certain privileges, but then they don't go into what the privileges are because they don't control the private. Then they have to throw in some of their words, okay, to operate, that's licensable, in New Jersey and sets a minimum age of 17 for operating a New Jersey registered vehicle. Well, this taints the cake. So they're saying if you're operating under the touring privilege as a non-resident, you can do that, but we can also allow you to operate, meaning come in. But if you want to come in from the private, you need to be at least 17 to get a license to then be in their registered vehicle. Yeah, no, I'm good. No, no, I'm just gonna use this part of it right here because once again, they give it away. Rights granted. We have granted rights. They grant privileges, licenses. They don't grant rights. You'd have to be the supreme power to do that. They can convey, hey, you've got rights up there. We're conveying those rights here. There you go. So New Jersey, thought you guys were cool. Not cool. Took away your points and you owe one. You owe one to the system. That's a debt. You guys owe a debt for being dicks. But you still and oh yeah, by the way, clean up your terminology and your capitalizations for the love of God. Because if I move there and I'm going to take you guys to court and I'm going to slaughter you guys with your terminology in there. You can't just use any kind of willy-nilly words. So update, rewrite. I mean, I've already had to correct Cornell Law and the Department of State on there, so you guys need to do yours. That's sloppy. Shoo, shoo, get it done. All right, for the rest of my great people out there, that is right to travel, Oregon, or no, New Jersey. Sorry, we did that one before. And next, we're going to do Missouri, because once again, somebody wanted to request it, but I'm not mad at you. Some of those were kind of tricky. So I could see how you guys would possibly ask that. So I'm not going to do all 50 states. If I see that you guys are requesting because it's a little, you really, really can't find it, I'm showing you guys how to do it right now, then I will do it. Otherwise, once again, this is beating a dead horse. Um, this is how you guys do it by watching these videos. So if you're watching the other, unless you guys are just like, well, he didn't use Oregon, so I'm not going to watch the video. You need to be watching the other videos I do for other states so you can see how other states have it worded, have it how they have it hidden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Make it happen. All right, talk to you guys later. On to the next one.